Hello, everyone. So this is the week 2 LCS press conference, SK Gaming. We thought it would be a good feature to give you these opportunities once the season has started for you to address the players and the coach directly with your questions. Basically, it is for the press. But of course, we invite the whole community to ask questions, meaningful questions via Twitch chat. And of course, our SK Gaming Twitter feed, we'll be checking those. I'll address those to the players. And maybe in the future, we will add journalists to these calls as well, so they can state their questions live if they request to do so. The setup, quite easy. You will have me as the host. You have Lukas, our coach for the LCS team, and you have Simon, Fredy. He's the player he's joining us for the first 15 minutes. Afterwards, we'll exchange and switch to Fox. Those two were happy to answer your questions today and address topics that you want addressed. As I said in my tweet yesterday, we will address the Deficio Copenhagen Wolves dentist incident quickly. We will not get too much into that. From SK Gaming's point of view, we are disappointed with what has happened. We are sad that this happened. It basically threw us off guard a little bit. As you have seen, our match was delayed. We did not play the tactic we wanted to play initially, that we prepared for, because at the point we played the match, we were under the impression that Copenhagen Wolves were aware of our strategy. That's a downer. This is how it goes. We would have wished Riot Games would have stopped this match from happening at all and postpone it for a week or so until everything was resolved, because then we would have had the chance to play the strategy that we actually wanted to play. Doesn't matter now. The game is done. It's a loss for us, and we have a lot of matches to prove that this won't affect our season, and we're trying to do so. We're how can I say this? It's not okay how both Deficio and Dentist handled the situation on a personal level. We're pretty pissed, actually, at both of these guys. I guess at some point we will have water on the bridge. But if you are in this league, you need to understand that there's a difference between a personal relationship you have with a player and what you can talk to a player, and the relationships you should have with your team, what you are and what you're not. We'd appreciate people apologizing, but we'll see what the next couple of days bring. We had the ruling by Riot yesterday. For us, the official part is over with that. If there's questions, we'll allow 2-3 meaningful questions addressing this topic. Other than that, we will go into the games directly. So I'll check the chat real quick. And maybe while I do, Lukas can quickly explain how we had to adapt strategy for this first match against Copenhagen Wolves and why that mattered to the outcome.
Yeah, from my side, I won't go into detail any further because I don't like, I don't personally like to get into a media fight or something. From my perspective, it's already a downer if you have to move your game 4 hours, basically. And if such an issue occurs, of course, you think about what the enemy thinks and knows, and then you have to rethink what you want to build for a comp and how to play against it. So it just adds another level of mind games, basically, and you don't want that. So I see that, and from the logic that they punished both of those people, those guys, basically means something did go wrong, and so I can't understand why then that we don't have a rematch or something, because basically it says, okay, there was something, but no remake. So this is kind of unlogic to me. This is all I want to say about that.
Yeah, and we'll leave it at that. We have a couple of questions for this topic already, and I'll just address two of them. So the first and most important one, will there be an internal punishment at SK Gaming because there has been a leak? There has been no leak. That's the point. So there's a difference. We were under the impression that our strategy was given away to Copenhagen Wolves. But what Riot Games found out in their investigation is that there was no strategy given away to them. But that is a fact that we know since yesterday evening when we were informed. We did not know when we played the match. That's why we played a different strategy. Doesn't matter. The game is in the books. As Lukas said, we don't think that the ruling is good. We don't think it's great. We also don't think that the punishments Riot is hammering down on Deficio and Dentist serve what they did. But that's not up to us. That's up to the league, and we will leave it at that. So this topic is finished. Fredy.
I would like to add, it's like hard to play a game and build a comp when you think the enemy knows everything about you, but I don't think that should really be the excuse for why we lost anyway. I think our loss was fair, despite everything that happened, but it is frustrating. It was hard for us.
Yeah, and I think that sums it up. We still had a game in our hands, but we don't think that this was handled correctly. Yeah. End of story. That's it. So the first, any special training camps? No, that's not a good question. What role does the new coach play exactly in your team? Is he a full-fledged coach or just sort of a life coach? Fredy.
He's more of a coach than we had last season. Like last season we had a last split, sorry, we had a life coach, I would say. But now Lukas is not doing any of that. We're handling that ourselves, and now he's going into gameplay stuff. He's also doing some psychological stuff still, obviously, but he's trying to be more of a gameplay coach than we had last split. And a lot of that is like, there's a lot of numbers and stats as well we're using. That's something else we have now, but yeah. I'd say definitely more of a coach.
Next question we have, do you think moving N-rated to an analyst strategy coach position and get a more skilled support in terms of mechanics would help the team? If you get an upgrade and can switch a player, this could be an upgrade for every team. So there's always a yes as an answer to that question. But you have to find an upgrade. You have to find a player that is an upgrade to the player you have. And I can only say, and I think Simon and Lukas will say the same, looking at last week's matches, especially the one against Fnatic, the Bard N-rated pulled out was phenomenal. Can't say anything else to that. So all the criticism he got before, one game, and I think we can put that story aside. I don't know how you see that, Lukas, Fredy, but N-rated has nothing to prove.
I get frustrated when people talk about mechanics and stuff because I don't think we lost because of mechanics. Against Fnatic, we had any lead we could want, and it wasn't because of mechanics, it was because we played strategically. But then we also lost, and it wasn't because of mechanics. So it like frustrates me when people talk about mechanics, but we're not actually playing the game properly strategically. So that's what we should look at.
I would like to add something. It's like it's always the perspective from the outer that you just think that you can easily switch out players and everything will improve. Like, but that's like from my side, it's totally the opposite. Always, like, even if you get Marta, whatever, maybe the best support in the entire world, which has ever lived on that continent or on this entire planet. What happens if he doesn't get along with the others? Like, think about that simple question, and then you can estimate how far this discussion can go. So I would, basically say the same as Simon here. I don't care about like the old mechanics discussion. It's about strategy. It's about team play. This is what League of Legends is about. Period.
Yep. It ties into the next question we have, a more personal question. How's the relationship between the players? On the stage, you don't look a lot like friends, more like people who just work together. A note from our end, because it ties into another question that you raised before. The reason why we made a switch in the team is because we wanted to strengthen the personal relationships between the players and the overall chemistry of the players. That's why we had the switch from Forgiven, who is an outstanding player on his position, to Adrian, who's an outstanding player as well, but fits more into our team as a personality. That's basically it. And I think Simon can contribute to that.
Yeah, I think, but what people don't really realize is that it's not you're not just playing with these people, you're living with them for like 6 months out of a whole year. So if you can't get along with them and you can't be with them, that's a problem, and it's going to start to affect you. And it showed last split, right at the end of the season, everything that built up beforehand, which we struggled through the entire split, then like came to a head, and that's what happened at playoffs. Like the 2 weeks before playoffs, we couldn't work together at all, and that was a big part of our personal relationships. So that's, yeah, we changed, and I think we're a lot closer now. Obviously, we haven't been celebrating on stage yet and looking like a team because we didn't win yet, but we'll hope to fix that. But yeah, I feel a lot better with Candy, and I think in the few weeks we've been together again, then I've had a lot more fun than last split already. That's my point of view anyway.
Next question. Crepo called the synergy wasn't that great between N-Rated and Candy Panda. Do you think this will get better from week to week? Lukas.
I wanted to ask Simon if he wants to answer that question. Honestly, I now I can tell you that we didn't practice it at all. So points to Crepo for seeing that. But we were so confident to bring it out anyway. Like he talked about the Callista Bard thing and the timings, when to use which ultimate and how this is synergizing. So of course the champion is new. We didn't had a lot of practice with it. This is why it went wrong. Good point, Crepo. Well observed.
I think it will get better over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
No, I mean, of course it will. It's the first week now, so.
With the 2 losses in the books, guys, this is directed from me to you guys because we're lacking questions here. Totally different games. One was under the stupidity of what was revealed yesterday. The other one against Fnatic, to me, watching you guys play, watching the team play, those were 2 different games, 2 different teams that we saw. How much did the Fnatic game, and especially the early game to mid game, when you had this game actually in your hands, how much did that boost you and show you that you are still up there competing with the best and able to win against those guys?
I think it was quite important that the game was close. Obviously, I think we should have won it. We made a lot of mistakes, but I guess we're having like confidence issues in a way after the playoffs and after the community's reaction. Everyone's writing us off. Everyone's hating on us. So to have a actually close game, which we should have won against Fnatic, is quite a big boost for us, and it was quite important, especially after the Wolves game. because after the Wolves game, we didn't know what to think of ourselves, but the Fnatic game brought us back.
Yeah. Last question, and with Fredy, then we'll change Fredy and Fox. We got 12 more minutes, guys. Then this press conference is over. The team has to go into one bracket today before they leave for the LCS studios. So we're a bit on the clock. But why do you get Svenskeren lots of the times on a carry jungle like Lee Sin and not on a jungler who has a better team fight or objective control?
I think it's personal preference a lot on him, but also we played a lot of those kind of junglers. And when the tank meta came around, that's when our team started to fall apart last split. So we never actually had efficient practice on those tanks. So we never really felt comfortable with them. So when we don't know what to pick, we kind of just revert back to like Lee Sin or Nidalee. But I think that's something that's going to change because those junglers are not always the best, as we saw last week. But I mean, it's just one more issue we're working on changing. Yeah.
Okay. Fredy, thanks for joining us. You're free to switch. I have a question directed at Coach Lukas anyway. So you're free to go. Thanks a lot, and see you hopefully in one of the next press conferences in the coming weeks.
Yep. Bye.
Lukas, after finishing 4th in spring and starting the summer with an 0-2, how do you, as a coach, prevent the team from going into sort of a panic mode?
Difficult question to answer. I think it has, of course, to do with the expectations which everybody builds up for themselves. So at first you work on the expectations for the team and the learning capacity which you have when you look at the split. I would say last split was a mistake when you connect it towards like the planning of the season, because we were peaking really early, and so this implies that the team's expectations only rise higher, and the will to improve or change anything regarding playstyle and lots of other stuff, like the ability to compromise, falls off with success you have. This is always an interesting dynamic. And with me moving into the head coach position, I always am more interested in long-term learning and long-term improvements. And so from my side, it's generally not a bad thing to start the split off with a 0-2. As long as you take good criticism out of the game and work on that issues which you have step by step, and then in my opinion you will automatically get better. Of course, from time to time the players tend to panic a bit. You can totally avoid that, but I think if you slowly get into a groove over some 2 or 3 weeks and learn to accept defeat as nothing destroying but teaching, then you get a positive mindset, like the general atmosphere of criticism being connotated as something good. And this is like how you want to shape up the process when you watch at the entire split together with the normal weeks and the playoffs and maybe regionals or whatever. Yeah. So that would be my contribution to that question.
Okay. Fox, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking the time on match day. Quick question to you, first one. What has changed since SK was dominating the league? Has the skill level of the other teams has gotten higher, or is it a fault on our side that we didn't develop as a team?
I think it's a mixture of both, to be honest. Like, teams are obviously better this split, and our teamwork is not there yet. And like, there's like obvious flaws in our gameplay. Yeah, a mix of both.
Lukas? anything to add?
No, agreed.
Yeah, pretty much agreed. Let's see what we got. To Fox and the rest of the gang, do you intend to stream in the near future? Basically, we're planning on having the guys stream a little bit as well on a very low scale, but we'll see. But that's a development. First and foremost, Lukas and the team have one goal, and that is to qualify for Worlds. So that's the overall priority we have. And if we do not have enough time to stream, because we use the time watching replays, watching other leagues, watching other teams, playing ourselves, then we will not stream. But we're planning with it. So that basically sums it up. We don't prevent the players. We don't tell them not to stream. It's their own choice how they use their time. That's basically the answer to that. Does it influence the players that the fan base of SK in the online votes and on Reddit seems to be very low effect?
For me, the only thing is like when we played in the semifinals or like the playoffs, I mean, versus UL, it was like the crowd was always cheering for like only UL, and that's like a bit like demotivating, but like that's the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the mindset for a team can be in different ways. I guess Coach Lukas will see it the same way. If you have a lot of fans against you, this can bring you down, but it can also motivate you to be even better, to play in their faces, basically. So it's a two-way street, and it depends on the character of the team, how they work with it. Lukas, question directed to you. Question for Lukas. Do you work on the players' champion pools so that they can play 4 or 5 champions to the limit?
I would if that would be an issue, but honestly, my players in my team are so professional that we always have 4 to 6 champions on each role. From time to time, I make suggestions. 50% of them get rejected usually. Yeah, but I keep track of it. I'm not the one who's like telling what to play or something. We kind of do it together when we see some good things going on in NA or in Korea on LPA. We talk about it. We talk about how we could imply those or what's the difference in implying them. For instance, the Rise now coming into the meta, maybe again, we will see. Like what is changed by that lane like presence, and what does it change regarding gang patterns for Dennis, Svenskeren? What does it change for the mid pressure? Like a new pick generally always has different implications, and you have to think about if it fits you, if it suits you, if it's easy to imply or if it's hard to imply. And if it's harder to imply, of course, it uses more working capacity, and so you generally tend to go towards those easier to implement champions. But I just keep track of it. Basically, the players do it themselves. Yes.
We have 2 questions going in the same direction. What's the goal for SK Gaming in this split? And did we adjust it after the first week of LCS in the summer split? Basically, if you play in this league, you want to go to Worlds. That's the overall goal you have. That's the goal we have. We collect the championship points. We know that we can enter playoffs, and in playoffs, you can enter the final. You can win a final. If you win the final, you're at Worlds. There's 2 other ways to qualify. If we don't make it to Worlds, it will not be the end of the world. We want to be an LCS team in Europe that is always fighting for one of the 3 spots Europe has at Worlds, and we will always keep on doing that. But we understand that with Origin, for example, coming into the league, strong performance from their end so far, We know it's gotten harder for any team. The competitiveness of the league has gotten harder. So we understand that our goal is not easy, but still we're trying to make it to Worlds. That sums it up. Good one for Fox, actually. Do you think Ryze is OP or just a good pick at the moment?
I've seen him for like mostly top lane lately, and it seems actually really strong. So, but not for mid lane. I don't think so.
Yeah, sure. Guys, we're coming to the end. We have 2 more minutes. So if we have meaningful questions, fair enough. I will continue 2-3 more minutes, but then Fox will leave for sure, so the players can get ready. Not sure if Lukas will stay, but I will address one more question, which was more in general and towards the organization. Fox, do you think you can play multiple?
Multiple?
Yeah, multiple.
I
don't know.
There's missing a part of that question. Multiple what?
Oh.
Yeah.
Multiple champions, multiple. Do you want to move to bottom lane, Hampus?
No.
Or to jungle? Can you play multiple roles?
I can't play jungle and support. I'm really bad at those roles.
Then a general one towards you, Fox. How are the relationships within the team? As team members, do you get along with each other?
Yeah, we do get along. I think it's like pretty decent atmosphere right now.
Good. Do you think SK has a problem with the best of X series because they nearly lost? Yeah. Sure, the format change is always different, and I think Lukas can elaborate. There's a difference between a best of 1 or a best of 2, if you look at the overall season, and a best of 3, best of 5 series. That's, if you have to play it, it's a whole different ballgame.
Of course, but I wouldn't say we had a weakness. Like if you look at the results, of course, we didn't make it through 2 best of 5s, twice. But you have to be careful when you want to answer that question, because there can be multiple reasons, and if you only say we suck at best of 5s, it's not hitting the nail. Like in a best of 5, like different things are important. Of course, mental stability, playing calm, having strategies to back you up after 1 or 2 or 3 games, to change your playstyle, maybe something like that. This is very important, and as well as the confidence of the players, I would say. Like many things, and I wouldn't say so that we are bad at best of 5s. If you look back to last season, we weren't bad at best of 5s anyway. Okay, well, best of 3, but basically it's the same. Okay, I think we've got 1 question left or something.
That's nice of you, Lukas. Thank you. Fox, anything you can tell us? How will the approach change for tonight and tomorrow's games in relation to last week's games? What can we expect in general from SK? What can the fans see?
I think you can expect more like solid play from us. Like strategy play, like lane swaps. I think we're like more solid on them now, like practicing this week.
So we'll be more calm, more Swedish, more down to earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Bra. Well, I'll stay in the chat for a couple more minutes and we'll address a couple of more questions. Thanks a lot to you guys in Berlin. Fox, good luck tonight, tomorrow.
Thanks.
Lukas, thanks for joining us. If you want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay in here. If you have to get the team ready for the bracket, that's fine as well. Totally up to you.
Yeah, I think we're already 3 minutes over time, and we've got to talk
All
about
right.
strategy a little
You
bit.
guys can hang up. I'll leave it to our video guy how he solves the problem right now. I'll stick and answer 2-3 more questions to wrap up this press conference. Thanks, guys. Good luck. And we'll do this again next week.
Sure. Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Okay. One question.
Oh, Lukas stays?
Yeah, one question. Hampus went on the toilet, so we have some time.
Oh, okay. Okay. Having to moderate and reading questions.
Yeah, you're a talented man.
Is Lukas allowed visits in the nighttime? Well, we do have a fan here. This guy or girl, I don't know, asked when you have free time, so he or she could invite you to dinner. And now, is Lukas allowed visits in the nighttime?
Of course. Who am I?
I know where this comes from. It comes from our announcement, the news, and hell of a picture we had in that news. I mean, even Shocks went wild on that one on Twitter.
Ah, you mean that? Oh man. I'm 30. I just say that.
Yeah, I'm 39. You can fool me there. Okay, guys.
Well,
Lukas will take one more question, but there has to be a question.
you don't. Yeah, I mean,
If there's no question,
wait
there's
1
no
minute.
question.
If we wait 1 minute, yes, and then we leave.
Is the team mainly focusing on the meta champs, or are the players and coach looking to experiment with less known picks?
Good question, actually. I think every team has to get a mixture there. Of course, you want to play good meta picks because they are obviously just strong. But from time to time, it's like rock, scissors, and paper. You have always to think about, okay, if we change our strategy into something weird, maybe it's harder for that comp. But that would be a general, rather specific approach against a specific team. And at the point in time, at this point in time, from my perspective, it doesn't make a lot of sense because you haven't seen the different teams playing different strategies anyway. It's always the same in the split. The first 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, there's the meta evolving, which is including general strategies like how you tower dive, when you tower dive, how you set up a lane swap and stuff. And once this is set, it helps you if you want to design specific strategies which are quite off meta to win one single game or maybe 2 or 3. I would put it that way. Okay. That's it. Have a nice day. Cheer for us. Bye-bye.
All right. So to wrap it up, thanks to Coach Lukas. Awesome answers. It was good to get to know some of these points or have them your way, so you understand these points. I know most of these answers already because I'm in constant exchange with the guys. Before I invite Lukas to dinner, I have one question. Does he have access to the SK store for free stuff? No, he doesn't. Sorry, if that's a downer, I'm super sorry. Does the current SK shop feature all products we have? Right now, yes. But as you know, the new cap is coming, the new hat, that's the old one. The new one is coming as well. And we will have that in probably 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks from now. We should be able, Alex, your cam is all over the place. Whatever. So yeah, that's regarding this the shop. Incarnation. We had a question regarding Incarnation, whether ever talks about Incarnation joining us on mid lane. There's a couple of answers to that. A general answer. Incarnation had a good time at SK Gaming last season. We had a lot of fun together, and we actually worked on the early stages of his appeal together. And we agreed that we would talk with each other when his ban would be lifted to see if there's a possible relationship between SK and Incarnation playing for SK. At this point of time, yes, we did talk, but there was no window of opportunity. He had different goals going to NA. B, we are impressed with the mid laner we have, Fox. So that's a two-ways answer. Sometimes, even though a person is probably a good fit for a team, like Incarnation would be for SK Gaming, there's no window of opportunity because both sides are going or aiming for something else. So there was no room for him. Plus, he didn't want a job here. So that sums it up, I guess. Will you guys be producing something like scarves? We do have scarves. We had them. Probably they're sold out. We can address that. We'll see. We ship everywhere. We ship worldwide now, South Africa included. So check out the shop. There is a shipping option for you guys as well. We switched the whole distribution for the shop 2 weeks ago. And with the launch of the new shop, we're able to ship worldwide. Why did Forgiven leave the team? Well, I'll address it one more time. We did have issues in the team on a personal level that needed to be resolved. And they could only be resolved with switching players. And this is what happened, basically. Outstanding player, Forgiven. We sold him to another team. We didn't plan with him on the summer split. There were issues. They had to be addressed. And sometimes it is that way. Still, he's a great guy. We worked together pretty good. But there were issues that prevented us from performing as good as we wanted to and probably could. That's why we made a change there. Will there ever be a web series focused on the team like TSM Legendary? Actually, we had a request by a video producer to do something like that. We're looking into it, and it might happen, yes. How's the team atmosphere and motivation with the current lineup? It's pretty good, from what I can tell. Players are getting along very good with each other. Usually the team, when it's in a bad mood, then they are not open to these press things that we're having or had earlier today. But when they are open for it, that basically means that things are good in the team. Then they are willing to do these kind of extra things. Other than that, they focus more on themselves. So that's a good indicator for that things are pretty good. We addressed the streaming part already, so you might want to revisit the VOD after the press conference is over. That should be easier. It looks no. So I think that wraps it up. Solid 40 minutes, I guess. Okay, one more question. Sorry, I was not here before. Blah, 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 blah. Could you explain why you think old team N-rated like Candy is better for team growth than new talent? That's a tricky question. I mean, sometimes forming a team or working with a team has a couple of components. One of them is team chemistry. One of them is skill level. One of them is the hunger to win. One of them is experience. And you have to try to find the right mixture. We at SK Gaming try to do that with a lot of input. Lukas is giving us input, players are giving us input, outsiders are giving us input. I myself have my opinion, of course, and other people in SK have their opinions as well. And from this pool, we try to make the best decisions for our team. Not everything you think possible is actually possible. So, forming a team out of 5 guys that you wish you could have, that's not going to happen because of circumstances, because of different goals of all these players. You can do that in your fantasy teams, but in the real world, when creating a team, it doesn't work that way. So it comes down to, what do you believe is the real strength and what's not? We do not believe that Reddit, for example, or comments on Reddit or Twitter tweets and whatnot give us a good indicator of what goes good and what goes wrong with our team. We think analyzing with specialists with analysts gives us way more input than anything else. That's why we go down that route. So whatever you read on Reddit and whatever the community thinks is not always what we think as well. And we make decisions independent from what the community thinks or wants. That sums it up. Okay. Would SK ever be open to Korean players? Man, in the history of SK Gaming, we were the first team, the first Western team that brought a Korean player to Europe, actually to Germany, to live here, to play here, to compete from here. That was Zakart back in the days. He lived in Cologne. He played the ESL Pro Series. So are we open to players from Korea? Yes, of course we are. But it has to fit. I mean, we were recommended Korean players for our LCS roster in the off-season between last season and this season as well. We decided against them. We decided we wanted to go with the core of the team we had. And that's basically it. We had Fox coming from our SK Prime team as a great amateur, and we wanted to bring him to LCS, basically. That's what we did. Yeah, will we come to Brussels for Worlds? Sure. I mean, we will qualify, we will play there. If not, it depends. It depends on how the season goes, but most likely we want to be present at Worlds as well. If we don't play, we want to have the experience. It's in Europe, so there's a good chance for us to go to Brussels and enjoy Worlds if we don't play it. If we play it, we'll be there anyway. But we're looking forward to see you there as well. Yeah, thanks for the feedback on the press conference. It's not a real press conference, it's a community conference, I guess, but we wanted to install something like that for you guys to address your questions directly at us. We don't like answering on Reddit or on Twitter or on Facebook and start fights there. It doesn't make sense. We'd rather address your points, valid points, and discuss them and give you the chance to ask more questions, give journalists the chance to ask more questions. And I think that's better than going the community Reddit Twitter way. Even Reddit and Twitter are good, but I don't think they're good for what we try to do here. All right, that's it. 2 matches. Hope you guys will cheer for us, or at least support us a little bit tonight and tomorrow. We got 2 important matches coming up. Next week's press conference will be on Thursday as well. We do not know which players will join us. Depends on how these matches go, and who's interesting and who's not interesting for these press conferences, and who you guys want in this press conference, basically. Coach Lukas will be there. I will be there. And that's it from Cologne/Berlin. Have a nice night, guys. Enjoy LCS, and see you next week, I'd say. If you need information in between, follow us on Twitter. The Twitter handles of the players are in the stream. Lukas doesn't use Twitter. I use Twitter. You get information on updates, streams, whatnot. You get them there.